Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Live Healthy Miami Gardens Live. I am your host, Lissa P. Dunn, CEO of MD Marketing Network, and of course, a member of the Live Healthy Miami Gardens Communications Subcouncil. I usually come on here about once a month to have a conversation about general health and wellness, specifically around the flu and COVID. And today we are actually kicking off National Women's Health Week. And so we're going to focus our conversation really around prioritizing your mental wellness. Now, this is so important for women. You know, this week got kicked off on Sunday, actually, by Mother's Day. So my guest today is one of my favorite mental health professionals. She actually is from my city, in the city of Lauderhill. She is Dr. Piersaint. She is the CEO and founder of Serenity for Youth and Families. Dr. P, how are you?
I am doing well, and I'm excited to be here with you and everyone watching. Thank you.
So I know I butchered your name. So could you please say your name properly for me?
All right, it's Dr. Tamare Piersaint. I am of Haitian descent, actually born in Haiti, so it's Piersaint. But you are welcome to call me Dr. P if Piersaint becomes a tongue twister.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. P. So tell me a little bit about your background.
Sure. So I guess I'll speak about myself and then add the professions. First and foremost, I am a follower of Christ. I am a wife of almost 17 years now. I am a mother, 2 kids. One will turn 16 in a couple of weeks, and one just turned 1. So think about that gap there.
Oh, that gap, girl, that gap. You have a toddler and a high schooler at home.
That's correct. So women out there watching who have those gap babies, my heart goes out to you because I am there. I can empathize. I am a sister and aunt. I own Serenity for Youth and Families, which is a group practice opening here in Lauderhill, Florida. So I am a business owner. I'm a clinician, a college professor, and a community leader. By profession, I have a doctorate in counseling psychology. I also carry licenses in the state of Florida and the state of Pennsylvania. And so, a long story short, I wear a number of different hats.
And you know, isn't that the way it is with us women, though? 1,000,001 hats. So you're a mother, a wife, you know, you are your own person. Plus, on top of all of that, you're an entrepreneur, a therapist, a community leader. Ooh, I'm exhausted.
And that's women. That is we wear so many hats.
We do. So Dr. P, let's actually start the conversation there, right? How do we prioritize our mental wellness when, as women, we wear so many hats?
Well, first, I think I would be remiss if I didn't say what society sees us as. So oftentimes we get, especially women of color, we're labeled as being work obsessed. Oh, she's always working. She's always into something. But also said we're labeled as fighters and strong and a dash of sassiness. We have the strong Black women syndrome that sometimes society will call us to have. We oftentimes are seen as not willing to put up with stuff from other people, which I get because when you're wearing so many different hats and you have been through so much, as one who is resilient, you have to not take so many things from other people, not take things lightly. But we are overeducated at times. We are fighters. We are the therapist to everyone, the cook, the caretaker.
Yeah.
We wear so many different hats. And so when it comes to taking care of ourselves, it oftentimes is really last. We put ourselves dead last in our relationships. in being a parent, in terms of the flip side, where I know many of you have heard, if you don't fill your cup first, if you don't put on the oxygen mask first,
Yes.
how are you going
Oh
to
my gosh. That is that's one of the things that I like to say, that like I gotta fill my cup so I can give from my overflow. And finding time, like with all of those different hats and all of the different societal box that people try to put women in, sometimes it can be really, really challenging. How can we identify when our cup is almost over?
Oh my goodness. One of the things that women, especially women of color, may not realize at first is short-tempered. Our frustration is
Oh, that's a good one. Like when we start to lose patience a little bit, that's a sign that your cup is emptying. Oh, that's a really good one, Dr. P.
because when you think about it, you are so frustrated because you're spent, you're spread thin. You have demands, whether people place them on you, which oftentimes happen, but also demands that you place on yourself. Like, I must get this done by such and such time.
Get out of my
head. And so with that, when someone doesn't get something to you in time, doesn't call you at the time they say they would, it gets under your skin a bit. And your ability to extend grace to other people goes out the window.
Wow, that's a really good one. And I have to say that that's true for me. What's another sign that your cup is running empty?
We will see it physically as well. So this would be, for some women, they notice that they're retaining a lot more water. So they have edema in their legs, their hands. It may be, for some women, thinking about the effects of stress, for example. We see that, so not only are they short, they may present with short temper, low frustration tolerance, they're holding on to a lot more water. We also see that sleep is interrupted. You're sleeping too much, sleeping too little, or not at all, running on empty. We also see that when it comes to eating, you're either going to eat too much, too little, or not at all. And for those who are aware of mental illness, you may be thinking, oh, she's starting to describe the signs of depression. Yes.
Wow. Wait, hold on. Let me just go through the list. Well, I think that I can feel when my cup is on empty, I do feel like my patience gets taxed a little bit. So I could definitely see that. And then I could see sometimes feeling like my eating pattern changes, because then when you're an emotional eater, which is something I'm working through, then, can I have some chips, please?
I'm with all those who are saying, yeah, that's me. I sometimes find myself like wanting that extra bar of chocolate, or stopping by Carvel, the nearest ice cream shop. And when I reflect on my day, I'm like, oh, it's because
that'll be why. So what can we do? Like when we notice that we are like feeling like we are starting to get our cups empty and we're about to run on fumes, like what are the things that we can do to replenish?
So one of the things I want to make sure that because I love providing education so that folks understand, when you're educated, you have the knowledge to do what it is you want to do to help yourself. So when you're running on empty, find out, is it acute stress? Because stress happens and it's brief. Maybe someone drops a report on your desk and you've got 15 hours to get it done. So that'd be stress levels are going to go up. That would be an example of acute stress. There's a deadline. It's going to happen. But the chronic stress is what we are typically experiencing as women, as moms, as women who wear a number of hats. And the chronic stress is every single day grinding. Every single day wearing a number of hats where we're not taking care of our physical health. We're not prioritizing social health, emotional health, spiritual health. And so one of the ways you can reduce your stress to manage mental wellness is accept your needs. Recognize Recognize what situations make you feel physically and mentally agitated, so that once you know, hey, these are the situations that cause me to be really annoyed, you can avoid them when it's reasonable to, I should say. Don't say Dr. P said avoid things and people who make me stressed. There are going to be situations that you can't avoid.
Yep, I get it.
Recognizing what you can manage, what you can't. And when you find yourself recognizing your triggers, you can figure out a plan as to how to cope. How am I going to cope with the things that are completely out of my control, but they cause me stress? They're not allowing me to be at my best. That's one way, accept your needs. Another way would be managing your time.
Yeah. And your commitments.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Saying yes to way too many things.
Oh, yes. Yep. Yes, I'll do this. Yes, I'll do that. I'll be there. Or volunteering because you want to help. But if you don't prioritize your time, if you're not prioritizing activities and using your time wisely, and you can do this by creating a schedule. We all have cell phones, whether they're smartphones or not, whether it's an Android or not. You can use your cell phone. You can use those kinds of little computers to create a daily schedule so that you don't feel overwhelmed. You're putting things in the order of when they're due, what to you, so that you can manage your time well. I love it. That I do on a monthly basis, no negotiating. I go to the beach. I prioritize going to the beach.
I love that too. For me, it's going out in nature, like going for a hike. I do sunrises sometimes.
I love
and I am up early because my job is such a potentially a high stress situation. I am up between 4 and 4:30 every morning, and between 4 o'clock in the morning and say 10 o'clock, that's my time. I do sometimes check emails or respond to WhatsApp messages and all of that. But for the most part, I'm meditating, I'm praying, I am listening to something inspirational. I'm going for a walk on the beach, trying to catch a sunrise.
Love it.
And that helps. You're absolutely right. Like having some sort of replenishing ritual, right?
Correct. And even though I said mine is monthly, I have other things that I do similar to what you do. So I appreciate you sharing that. So that's so far we've talked about 2 ways: accepting your needs, managing your time well, practicing relaxation. So it really dovetails with what you shared. This is prayer, meditation, deep breathing, doing some kind of relaxation activity that forces your body to be in time, present in the moment, and relax. For those who are always going, this is going to be it's going to require you to take baby steps.
And be really intentional. Yes.
Because if you're not used to stopping and just existing to just take in all of what the beauty around you, when you try that for the first time, you might feel out of sorts. Like, wait a minute, there's something I should be doing. Girl, you're doing what you should be doing. Just relaxing.
Have a Mai Tai on the beach.
Just be. So practice relaxation. Make it a priority.
I love that.
For yourself every day, even if it's 5 minutes.
I love that. And you know what? For those folks who have children, it's so important for you to be able to model that for your kids, right?
Yes. So my little lady, she just turned 1. One of the things that I am very intentional about doing after she gets out of the bath and I'm getting her dressed, I will rub oil on her. And as I'm rubbing oil on her, I'm saying to her, relaxation, relaxing is good. So it's like a mantra where I'm just relaxing.
I love that.
The first few times she looked at me like, what is she up to? But now she expects it. So if I'm silent, she looks at me like,
why aren't you saying it, mommy? Oh man, I mean, what a gift, because then now she's learning self-care and she's learning love through touch. And then I'm assuming you use like a fragrant oil, right? So she's associating the scent with mommy's love. And oh, that is such a great ritual.
So I do that. And so there are little things that you can do, even if there are things that you would consider in your mind are chores. Change my mindset to view this chore. If I'm not able to create other time, use the chore for it to be a wellness activity for me. Hey, the chore is driving to work. Use that time maybe to listen to a podcast that's uplifting.
Yeah.
Spiritual music. Just being in the car and listening to nothing but the sounds of nature outside. Be intentional about creating time for yourself.
I love that. I love that. Even washing dishes, kind of breathing and listening. I like to listen to like sermons and stuff when I do, or Bob Marley as I'm doing housework.
I love it. I'm with you there. I am definitely with you there. I will blast up, whether it's the TV or the radio, on something that I want to listen, whether it's something that is more of a podcast or learning, or music, just so I can, I guess to some degree, make the task less mundane. Less boring.
And I think there's something for relaxing your mind, right? And creating that space where your mind gets to stop thinking about your to-do list and stop thinking about your responsibilities and worrying and fretting and fearing stuff, and just let it be. And I mean, I remember, you know, I'm Jamaican. And so growing up in Jamaica, every Saturday, like clockwork, even to this day at my mother's house, every single Saturday when you wake up, from like certain time to certain time, the music is blasting and we're cleaning. Did you guys have that is it that ritual in your house when you were growing up?
Yes. And my mom, it's the four of us. And what our house, we had like white walls, white floor. So 4 kids in a white house. Our ritual was she would have the music playing and we all, like 7 a.m, helping her clean. But she would have Christian music playing in the house, blasting in the house. So it became something that it's nostalgic now. And as much as I'm like, oh, I'm my own person, I'm like, oh, there are qualities of my mom that I've taken. I do something myself.
That's so true. That's so true. But let's talk about that a little bit, because I think that some women may feel a little guilty about maybe getting help with the house cleaning. I actually was talking to a good friend of mine the other day, and I could tell she has a newborn and a teenager, and then like maybe a school age, like a middle schooler, a high schooler, and a newborn. And she was just so frazzled and feeling so overwhelmed. And I'm like, what's happening? And she was frazzled because of her environment and like not being able to have the same level of, you know, ritual of cleaning and all of that. And I'm like, dude, get somebody to come in and help you. And I find that some women feel like they're so tied to the idea that cleaning is their responsibility, that keeping the house and the family fed and taking people to here and there is their responsibility, and asking and accepting support is a challenge. Like how would you advise a woman like that?
So first, it's to remind that woman, and I will say this, myself included, I have to remind myself that the strength of a woman comes from acknowledging that it takes a village.
Yes.
It comes from acknowledging that the women before us didn't do this alone. We weren't created to be on an island by ourselves. And so the best gift that we could give ourselves, our offspring, or even young women that we mentor, and young men that we mentor too, is to prioritize self-care. And part of self-care is delegating things that we're unable to manage.
Yes. If you have a partner at home, let him or her wash the dishes.
Yes.
But that's a whole other conversation, right?
And as well as kids.
Yeah.
If you're of a certain age, by third grade, we were teaching our little kiddo how to fold his clothes. Teach them, because you were preparing them for the future as well.
Yeah.
So how do you offload some of those responsibilities to others? And it starts by recognizing that we're not created to do this all by ourselves.
So delegating and being open to receiving support.
So that's friends, family members, members in your community, a faith person, support group. Find people you trust. If you're like, you know what, Dr. P, I'm sorry, I don't trust nobody. Well, pay somebody. Pay someone to do a load of laundry. Pay someone to come to mop.
That is a gift that I give to myself. I have come to the conclusion that it's worth it for me to have somebody come in once a month and do the heavy cleaning, the vacuuming, the mopping, the cleaning of the tub. It's worth it for me because my environment, your environment is everything, right? It sets the mood and it yeah. So I'm very, I believe in it. And one day I'm going to be financially free enough that I can have a driver and I won't even have to drive.
Goals there.
Listen, I'm telling you from my mouth to God's ears, because I'm here for it. So I know that your practice, you focus on youth and families. Can you offer tips for those women who do are a part of a family with children and perhaps even a partner? How can they create an environment that supports wellness?
First, starts off by showing your children that you're taking care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
When your kids see that, hey, mom made a mistake, but she didn't beat herself up about it. So she's not saying, oh, I'm so stupid, I'm this, I'm worthless. But she's saying, oh, okay, another opportunity to learn. Whatever it is that you can rephrase that negative statement to something that allows them to see that you're extending grace to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I know we all heard, children don't do what you say. They do as you do. So if you show them that even in moments where you feel like, you know, the weight of the world is on your shoulders, you're willing to acknowledge that you're tired, that whatever happened is causing you to feel sad, and you're willing to cry and not staying stuck there. Feelings, it's important to acknowledge them.
Yeah.
It's important to acknowledge that feelings are transient. They're not going to stay forever.
Mm-hmm.
Be happy one moment, be sad another, and be full of joy again. But allowing your children to see how you manage your emotions is step one. How you take care of yourself is step one. The other piece is saying to yourself, if my child needs mental health treatment, that does not mean that I failed as a mom.
Oh, that's a big one. I find that we are so judgmental. We're like our worst critics sometimes, aren't we?
Can be, yes. Yeah. And especially when we see our kids as extensions of ourselves. If you see your child in need of treatment because they're struggling with anxiety, they're struggling with depression, the woman who is critical about themselves would probably say, it's my fault. I'm a bad mom. A kid has anxiety. No. We know that there's a biological component. We also know that life throws things at kids.
Mm-hmm.
When they go off to school, when they're with their friends, you have no idea what they're exposed to.
Yes.
So although you're doing your job at home, they may go into an environment that tears them down or tries to. And so it's important to recognize that there are times seeking support for them, making sure that they have someone that they can trust, a licensed clinician to provide them with a good listening ear, but also skills and strategies to manage symptoms and illness if they are diagnosed with a mental condition. Again, does not say that you've not done your job as a mom. You seeking care for them. means you're doing your job.
Oh,
by getting some care.
Well, what are some of the signs that we should look for that would tell us that maybe our children would need to see someone, to talk to someone?
One of the things that I often hear, it's their teenage years. They're being short. They're being
and
sad,
moody. Yes, I hear that a lot.
Yes, there's some of that to play, because developmentally, we know that they're going to go through those mood changes.
Mm-hmm.
It's consistent over time. We're talking about 2 weeks of being extremely moody. Sleep has changed. Appetite has changed. They're secretive. They're not allowing you to really come close to them, whether it's physically or emotionally. It is something worth having a discussion with them about. Like, how can I help you? I've noticed. You tell them what you've noticed and allow them, give them the space to share non-judgmentally. So what that would look like is if your kid says, you know what, Mom, my friends were talking about me behind my back. I learned that they went out without me. This is not the time to say, please, you want to know what I went through when I was in school? No. Let them finish. Acknowledge that what they're going through may seem really hard for them. And how can I help you through this? So don't give the unsolicited advice until you've asked them, how can I help you? Finding out as they're sharing that this is much more than the superficial surface peer conflicts. This is where it's going to be really important that you find them some treatment. Treatment from individuals who have worked with kids, who understand pediatric mental illness, who are willing to not only provide treatment, but to include you when appropriate to that conversation, so that when they're finished with treatment, this is something that you can continue to work on with your child at home.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I sometimes hear people say, well, you're in therapy, and then you're in therapy, and it like never stops. You just keep finding things to dig up. But that's not really the case, right? The case is that you have a plan. You go in and you do what you need to do according to the plan. And it's not really anything to be ashamed about or fearful of. We should not have the stigma around therapy that we do in the Black community.
No, not at all. And it's also to recognize that when you're in therapy, now I say this, hear me clearly, there are going to be some people who need therapy forever because of the medication they have.
Okay.
For the most part, when we're talking about things along the lines of depression, anxiety, things that we know there are strategies to help that person work through and be able to move forward, you shouldn't be in therapy forever.
Right.
So in therapy, it's learning those strategies so that you can feel empowered to manage yourself outside of a therapy session. So again, when you are a mom, when you're a care provider, it is extending grace to yourself to say that, okay, my child needs help. I'm going to make sure that they get it. And that does not mean that I am a horrible parent. I've not done my job. You researching and finding them a therapist them to work with you as well is actually a sign that you're a healthy person.
I love that. I love that. That's such powerful advice, Dr. P. So if you were to sum it all up and you were to offer 3 takeaways for women this National Women's Health Week, what would you say for them to prioritize their mental health?
Accept what you need. And that could mean therapy, help from other people for tangible things, recognizing your triggers, manage your time, and practice on a daily basis, something that fills you up. Replenished on a daily basis. And so that was be for free through meditation and prayer, or even paid activities. But it's accepting your needs, managing your time, and doing things that replenish you, relaxing.
Oh, I love that. Great advice, Dr. P. Thank you so much for joining us for this Live Healthy Miami Gardens conversation.
Thank you
I
for having me.
appreciate your time.
Yes, you're welcome anytime. And again, my hope is that you are willing, those watching, to really put yourself in the driver's seat and do something for you. I
Oh,
appreciate you all.
I love that. Thank you for joining us, Dr. P.
You're welcome. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for watching Live Healthy Miami Gardens Live. We will be on again next Tuesday at 3 p.m. with another health topic. Remember, we are committed to helping the city of Miami Gardens to be its healthiest. So, this National Women's Health Week, please take good care of yourself because you absolutely 100% deserve to be well. Take care.